prophecy of millions dead and morgues overflowing. There is a question humanity has been asking for thousands of years. Is there a power greater than government authority, greater than money, and greater than all the systems we believe are unchangeable? Could God be real? Most people choose not to answer that question, because answering it means facing a truth they may not be ready for. But one man has answered it clearly, with specific timing, sequences, and events. His name is Polny, and his prophecies are not merely controversial. They force listeners to reconsider everything they once believed to be true about this world. Today, we are talking about the story of a chiropractor, a man who left behind his clinic and a 20-year career to pursue what he calls a divine mission. And what he saw on that journey may be unlike anything you have ever heard before. He speaks of the coming 4 terrifying M's, the multi-headed serpent, the mythical Hydra, being cut down one head at a time, and the golden age that is about to arrive. The doctor awakens and returns to the one truth: God is real. In 2017, in California, there was a well-known, wealthy, and successful doctor who did something everyone around him thought was insane. He sold his clinic, not because he was bankrupt, not because of scandal. His clinic was doing well. He was one of the most highly regarded and top doctors in his local area, with 20 years of practice and a solid reputation. So why did he do it? Because after achieving money, recognition, and everything the world had to offer, he asked himself a question, the same question many of us have asked, only to quickly push it aside because we fear the answer. Am I living to pursue my own personal gain, or am I meant to follow a higher calling? That question would not leave him alone. Then he entered the gold and silver markets after the events of 9/11, though no one understood why, not even him at first. But during his research, he discovered something that shook him to the core. The greatest turning points in global financial markets, events that even the world's top analysts could not consistently explain, aligned with a time cycle recorded in the book of Daniel in the Bible. He checked it once, twice, 10 times. It was no coincidence that he became the only person in the world to accurately forecast the 2011 tops in gold and silver. Then, in May 2017, at his wife's request, he applied this same method to Bitcoin. The result was remarkable. He accurately forecast Bitcoin's price trend for that entire year, at a time when no one else was doing anything comparable. He has continued applying that forecasting approach to this day and believes that biblical-level price movements are set to begin in 2026. He later wrote a book titled Revelation: The Good News, and became a name followed by millions. One statement he repeats often is, "We are not living in political times. We are living in biblical times." If he is right, then everything happening in the world right now, wars, financial crises, political changes that cannot be explained by ordinary logic, is unfolding according to a much larger script than what we see in the headlines. What makes Polny different from thousands of self-proclaimed prophets on social media is that he does not speak only in vague generalities. He stakes his reputation on specific predictions. When he is wrong, he admits it. When he is right, the market proves it. And on many important occasions, the market and world events have proven him right. From the stock crash of 2020 to the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, to the start of the Israel-Hamas war, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the FTX crash of November 2022, and the April 21st, 2025, death of the Pope, to name only a few. That is why people continue to listen to him, no matter how unbelievable some of his claims may sound. He also says that at times he receives guidance through dreams, not vague, hazy dreams like people often describe, but dreams with specific timing, images, and chart sequence. In those moments, his accuracy has been so high that even he cannot explain it through any mathematical model. But before discussing the prophecy itself, we must answer a foundational question. Who is truly controlling this world? Not presidents, not prime ministers. According to Polny, the true controlling force is a financial system that has infiltrated every corner of human society, from politics to media, from education to healthcare, and has operated in the shadows. Think of it this way. You go to work, you receive your paycheck, you pay taxes, loan interest, rent or mortgage payments, car payments, and tuition. At the end of the month, you look back and barely have anything left. Meanwhile, the banks, institutions that created that money out of thin air simply by entering numbers into a hidden system, continue collecting interest from you month after month, year after year, for your entire life. Human beings appear to be free, but in reality, They are living inside an invisible iron cage of debt slavery and interest. Polny calls this the modern version of Babylonian slavery. He describes the system as a multi-headed serpent, whose tentacles have long stretched across the entire earth. So who is cutting off its heads? Polny uses a very specific biblical image: David facing the giant Goliath. God did not say, "Sit down and negotiate." He said, in effect, "Cut off his head." He compares President Trump to David, and he views current geopolitical events involving Venezuela, Iran, and transnational drug cartels not as Trump starting new wars, but as ending wars that have been quietly raging for decades without resolution. Each force that is removed, he says, is another head of the multi-headed serpent being cut off. But Polny openly acknowledges that Trump cannot finish this task alone in the remaining years of his term. The forces of evil, the swamp, have taken root too deeply and spread across the world. Therefore, according to Polny, God must intervene directly in the affairs of the earth. And this is where the four disasters beginning with the letter M appear. The four terrifying M's Polny says that before the Golden Age arrives, humanity will undergo a global exodus, much like in the days of Moses. He describes the events that are about to unfold as beginning with the terrifying four M's. The first is millions gone. Millions of people will vanish, not die in the ordinary sense, but disappear. These are people who, he says, have given their souls over to evil and whose bodies have become possessed or parasitized from within by the Nephilim spirits of old. They look like ordinary people. They live in society like ordinary people. They may be politicians, celebrities, or even members of royal families, but inside, they are no longer human, and when God acts, they do not die the way ordinary people die. They disappear. Polny points to Pharaoh in Egypt as the example. Pharaoh claimed to be a god. He remained stubborn through 10 consecutive plagues and refused to yield. Then, on the final night, the angel of death came down. In one night, all the firstborn sons of Egypt died. Polny says history is repeating itself in our time. The second M is millions dead. This wave is different from the first. These people do not vanish. They die. A pilot suddenly disappears while flying a plane. A driver suddenly disappears behind the wheel, resulting in mass casualties. The plates shift. Volcanoes erupt. The ground shakes. The images are those of the great and terrible day spoken of in Joel 2:31, scenes no one will ever forget. It is like a 9/11 day on steroids, unfolding across the world. And once the power of God is revealed, no one can stop it. No government, no army, no defense system. The third M is Morgues Filled. The number of deaths becomes so great that the systems of modern civilization for handling the dead can no longer contain them. This is not a metaphor. It is not poetic imagery. He says this will literally happen. The fourth M is months to bury the dead. This is the one worth pausing over the longest. When a prophecy does not simply say, "Many people will die," in some vague way, but specifically says it will take months to bury the dead, you realize the person speaking is not merely inventing dramatic language. That level of specificity sounds like someone recounting what he has seen, not something he has imagined. Polny himself says, "I know this sounds crazy, but this is how God works. I know this event will happen. I do not know the day, but it is imminent." Then he speaks of Noah, building the ark for years while enduring the mockery and ridicule of his entire village. The sky looked beautiful, as it always had. People back then were no different from us now. Practical, demanding proof, unwilling to believe what their eyes had not yet seen. Then one day, the rain began. The ground broke open, and cities disappeared. Those who laugh at prophecy today, he says, are exactly like those who once laughed at Noah. 3 events that changed the world in 2026. Polny does not speak only of disaster. He speaks of an ordered process, what he describes as 3 major events, a type and shadow of the book of Exodus, that will change the world. The first event is the spring angel of death, followed by a wealth transfer. Just as in the book of Exodus, the angel does not come to destroy everyone. He targets evil and passes over the children of God. According to Polny, the coming wealth transfer will operate according to that same principle. Wealth will move from the hands of the globalists into the hands of ordinary people. The wealth does not disappear. It is transferred, just as written in Proverbs 13:22. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. The second event is a fall Red Sea miracle, the removal of evil, including the kings and princes of the earth. Not negotiation, not compromise. The waters of the Red Sea close, and the pursuing army disappears without a trace. This is the second act of God, and no man can stop it. The third event is his glory descending upon the earth, the fulfillment of Numbers 14 verse 21, ushering in the start of the final harvest spoken of in John 4 verse 35, which declares, "Lift up your eyes and see that the fields are white for harvest." This is the stage Polny calls the most anticipated of all, the moment when the golden age truly begins. He says that when that day comes, there will be no need for explanations, because everyone will see these events with their own eyes. As Daniel 2:34 states, "While you were watching," it sounds epic, almost mythological, does it not? But let us set fear aside for a moment and consider this. If this prophecy is true, what would the world on the other side look like? According to Polny, it would be something far beyond any science fiction scenario. The IRS, America's notorious tax agency, would be abolished. Bank loans, mortgages, and student debt would disappear, and people around the world would experience a kind of freedom they have only dreamed of. The entire financial system, built on debt and interest, would be replaced by a new system based on real gold and silver, things with genuine value, not imaginary numbers on a screen. And strangest of all, ancient technologies that were lost or deliberately hidden for centuries would reappear. Not science fiction technology, but technology that once existed, that humanity once possessed, and that was later erased because it was free. Energy, medicine, transportation, everything would be redefined from the ground up. Polny emphasizes one especially important point. When millions suddenly disappear, the evil that remains on the earth, including the evil spirits still operating in the world, will refuse to acknowledge the existence and power of God. According to Polny, their only explanation will be to blame the sudden disappearance of millions of people on aliens. For that reason, he says we should expect the alien narrative to be revealed when these terrifying events begin to manifest. For years, humanity has been conditioned to believe that extraterrestrials possess advanced technologies. But the advanced technology that is about to be revealed to the world has nothing to do with aliens or alien technology. This technology was not created by aliens. It is God's technology. He says to be careful about the origin of what is about to appear, because only God is the creator, and the devil is the great deceiver. The earth is not changing only politically or economically. The earth is about to witness the birth of the glory era, the golden age, for a season, before the evil one-world system finally rises at a future appointed time. All of this may sound abstract, but if you sit with it for a while, it begins to mean something in a way ordinary language struggles to express. This is the window of divine favor humanity has been desperately waiting for. A time of signs, miracles, wonders, flying cars, and future technologies about to be released upon the earth. Polny describes the Golden Age with a striking thought. What happens on earth is merely a chessboard created by God. The only question is, which side do you choose? The Bible says, "Choose this day whom you will serve." The devil is real, and so is Jesus. He also says present-day computer models can calculate forecasts, but they cannot forecast the actions of God. However, before God acts, he sends warnings to the world through prophets. No one is here to force anyone to believe anything. In fact, forcing something like this onto another person's faith is not the right approach. But throughout human history, the most important warnings and the greatest changes were announced beforehand by people the world mocked. Noah built the ark for years while those around him laughed. Then the rain came, and the very people who had mocked him begged Noah to save them. They regretted their disbelief. So the real question is not simply whether this prophecy is right or wrong. The real question is this: if there is even a 1% chance that it is true, do you know Jesus? Do your children know Jesus? That is the question truly worth reflecting on right now. There is only one Savior. His name is Jesus. For God so loved the world that he sent his only Son,